So we go now for the last part. And yesterday I showed you kind of what kind of innovation is possible. And I think the Bosch case was an interesting case because it started just with a product innovation, but later on it's changed everything. Because you can imagine when you address new customer segments, you need new channels, you need new core competencies. Actually, the whole firm is totally different than 10 years ago. And business model innovation is usually interesting because, I mean, you are the startups. And let's imagine you're in a market like this, because you should usually start with, after designing your business model, you should make a competitor analysis, and then you see, wow, there are so many competitors out there. I mean, here, most of you have very internet-ish ideas, but if you go for some products or so, you see a big corporations in the market field. And most of the time you say like, oh, how can I compete in the market? So this is like how you feel, yeah? You're the little guy in the front and think like, wow, you got these huge competitors. Can you imagine you were Nokia 30 years ago and you looked at Motorola and all these people. How can you compete with them? And Nokia did compete very well. So what's the best way to compete with a guy with a Zoomer ringer? What's your tactic to compete with the big guy?
Well, I think, first of all, I'll avoid contact with him.
Okay.
Because every
so how do you want to do it? Let's imagine we're here on the Zoomer ring, and you stand here. I mean, you're pretty tall already, and pretty in good shape. So you run away always?
No, I'll not be too fast to approach him. Then I watch his weaknesses and just
okay.
him at those points. And,
okay.
Until I'm able to.
Good. I can imagine that. That's good. Any other idea?
Maybe just think that what they use, that people always say that use their strengths against them, or they like their momentum. It's like when they're the big players at the market, they think that they're big, they're all cocky, and you can use it against them with a new idea or something, because that will actually collapse them.
Okay, so you would do kind of judo stuff with him.
Well, yeah, because you think that because they're egotistical, they know that, oh, we're at the top and nothing can beat us. That will be their undoing.
Okay, practical. I like practical things. Okay, how would you do this in this case? Not a theory, practical.
But it's always just break the rules. If you go out from that box that you're in.
Okay, so how do you break the rules there?
Oh no.
Okay, tell me how you break the rules. No, he has to break the rules. I mean, in theory, in analysis, we're very good, but in doing it.
If I look at this picture, someone might go dirty fighting there. As in, you don't use the rules there.
What is dirt fighting?
Use the weaknesses of the second opponent that are.
Okay, what you do? You take up dirt, throw it in his face, or what?
That's one.
Okay.
The second is below his waist, the area.
Okay.
Or of course behind the kneecap.
Okay, good.
That's kind of.
Any other ideas how you fight him?
Use a technology as a weapon, like for example a sword.
Okay, or like Indiana Jones, remember? So. That's unfair, actually, but okay.
What I was thinking is that this big guy is slow. As we are smaller, we are faster ones, and this is in the companies too. The bigger companies, they are slower in implementing new ideas, new products. New companies, they are more elastic.
Yeah, I think they're all good ideas. I would propose something else. Who said that sumo ring is the sports we have to compete with? Can you imagine any other sports you would love to compete with this guy without even being unfair? What could be a sport everybody would win against this guy? Don't underestimate how fast they are. Jumping, probably. Singing. Or what do you think about this? Huh? You see, suddenly, who said we are doing sumo ringing? That was their definition of the market, was sumo ringing. And we accepted sumo ringing. And then we wanted to be faster, quicker, and everything. Or even unfair. Because he would have considered this very unfair, taking dirt and throwing it into his head. But you can say, no, we do a different sport. And this time we do ballet. And how does he look? Does he look big when he's doing dancing ballet? Both. I think he is tiny. And can you imagine, like Google? I mean, Google introduced the killer product for all newspapers. And the killer product has 95 characters. It's the little AdWord box. You know, this is ballet dancing compared to newspapers, because newspapers have a lot of costs to get this very expensive advertising in there. And Google does not even compete in that area, because they don't see themselves as a media company, because the media companies say like, oh, we need the advertising to finance content. Google says, I don't need content. I need people who look for something, and then I sell their lead to advertisers. And if media firm would do advertising on Google, how would the advertising, if Google was a media firm, let's say New York Times, how would the advertising look like on Google page?
Banners and headers, sidebars and footers.
It would be?
Big banners.
Big banners, display advertising, flashing, boof, boof, boof. Would they be successful?
No.
Exactly. Because Google is doing a different game. They're not selling attention anymore. They sell, leads, because I'm interested. If I look for hotels in Tallinn, I'm interested in hotels in Tallinn, and that is advertising becomes information. This is why they're so successful, because they kill their competitor very softly. And now I want to show you some examples. And the Bosch case was also pretty much the same, because they changed the rules of engagement. They went away from the traditional market to a new market segment. Can you imagine this? Well, I know we're in a commodity market where the price is key, but I believe we can sell the goods or the good for 10 times as much as before. Do you know what a commodity good is? It's something like oil, coal, where it doesn't really matter where it comes from, because everything is the same. It's an exchangeable product, so the price only counts. Like halves of pigs, stuff like this, they're all commodities. So would you dare to say this to your board? I mean, I know we're in a commodity market, that's like sumo ringing, but I know that we can sell our goods for 10 times as much. Any idea which company is behind this? Water? I mean, water is interesting because tap water is healthier, better quality, and costs you less than a tenth of bottled water, but still people drink bottled water.
Yeah, they're selling it for €7 in some places.
Yeah, ridiculous. No, but it's not. It's something I like. Any other idea? Okay, just imagine. It's coffee. On the one hand, it's coffee beans. How unemotional are coffee beans? And a kilogram for €7 is expensive for a kilo. Oh, €7 is around the price for a kilo of coffee beans. Does it lead to any emotions, coffee beans? So what do you think about nicely, freshly brewed espresso? Not like filter coffee, but this freshly with a crema on top. It's the same product originally, but you're willing to pay 10 times as much if you think about this espresso. And of course, you probably know it now, it's Nespresso. Because the value innovation was all about getting rid of this commodity, and nobody needs coffee beans. What we need is a freshly brewed coffee, which is easy to handle. Can you imagine now? Particularly when I work in Germany and I have this horrible filter coffee. Every time when I see this picture, I think like, it would be lovely to have now an espresso. But they sell it for 10 times as much as the guys before. And this is what value innovation is all about, and this value proposition is all about. It's not just a little bit more value. It's selling something totally different. And this is the magic formula for all firms. It's very simple. Don't talk too much about your cost. This is the lower part. Talk about the customer utility, the value you propose. Get this up as much as possible. So people adore you, they get excited about you, and then you set a fair price somewhere in between. Don't rip off your customers, just a fair price, because then your company profit is high and also your customer value is high. So please, less ideas on costs. Costs are very important, but more and less on price and more ideas on customer utility. And this is what value proposition is all about. And business model innovation, that's the fun part, can start anywhere in the world. We talked about, or anywhere on the business model canvas. We talked about value innovation, like the coffee. We offer a better value proposition for existing and new problems. We changed the architecture, how we provide the value. You remember Dell was once a very innovative company because they got rid of the value-added reseller. They had no channels in between. They were in the direct business. That was very innovative when it came to how you provide the value. Then you got revenue model innovation. We will talk about some, or we talked about some yesterday about the prepaid model, which opened up totally new markets. And one thing most people don't understand exactly what it is, it's cultural innovation. For example, having a telephone company with a great customer service usually is some innovation. Or a company who solves customer problems immediately in the telco business. Because most of the time they compete on price and packages. But if something goes wrong, you're lost in space. At least in most Western countries, it's like this. And now we go for some examples too, because that's pretty dry, what kind of innovations you can have. Here I show you now an architectural innovation from India. Is anybody here from India? Okay. India is a huge country, has 1 billion people, billion and 1.5 or 1.3 billion people. And they have a lot of eye diseases because of bad water and stuff like this. So the question was, how do you solve this problem? How in the world do you get certain surgeries in India done? And it's a hospital hospital chain called Arvind Eye Care System, who came up with the idea that Western technology does not work in India. Because Western technology is made for countries which have a lot of money to spend on a few patients. In India, you have a lot of patients, but not that much money. So what is the classical approach to, if you have a lot of things to do? You look at other industries who are great and in mass production, and that's, for example, the car industry. So can you imagine you hire guys from process engineering who are very good in cars, production facilities, and you bring them to hospitals. That's like what they did. Does it sound very innovative? Oh, the results are innovative. They do surgeries on an assembly line almost. For us, it might look strange because we always think the patient should be first. They think, yes, the patient should be first, but the healthy patient should be first. So what they do is mass production technology applied to surgery. And since car manufacturing is very good in quality management, Six Sigma and stuff like this, their quality figures is extremely good. They can compete with any Western hospital on this eye surgery. Probably they're better. So it's not only mass production technology, but also division of labor. It's not one surgeon who's doing the whole thing. One is just doing this, next patient, this, next patient. Sounds shocking for you? If you have an eye disease and you get healed out or healed afterwards, you think it's a great way of doing it. And what they have done, you can apply this later on to the canvas. I'm sorry, I'm not using Alex's canvas. I have the value proposition here with a customer. And the customer group is interesting. They address middle class and poor Indians. Because they need the middle class to finance the poor, the surgery of the poor. Because it's a social entrepreneur, because he believes that the surgery should be for free for the poor. So how do you reach out to the poor in India? What's the distribution channel for these guys? How do you reach? Because we have a good medical system, so people go to the doctor, then they send to the hospital. This is not existing there. So what they have is paramedics screening villages So they go by every door and look, oh, you have an eye disease. Do you want to have a surgery? So they kind of collect the people to bring them to the hospital. And they have some core capabilities nobody had before, namely mass production or process know-how how to do it. Therefore, they have in the cost structure low-cost production system. And the revenues is crop subsidies between the middle-class patient and the rich. And it all started actually with high standardized surgeries and high division of labor in their value chain. One smart change in the beginning, you can solve a problem which is huge. Or look at IKEA. Value architecture is very clear. That's where it started. Consumers have to transport and assemble the furniture by themselves. But what's the value proposition? Why do people go to IKEA to buy the furniture? It's very simple, because you get the furniture immediately. For you, it's the norm nowadays. You go and you get what you buy. The classical business model of the furniture industry was you go there and wait 6 to 8 weeks. So the value proposition is all about instant satisfaction, getting your stuff immediately. I like products. This is a company in Switzerland, pretty big. I think it's market value of 3 billion, 4 billion euro. And they do something very dull. Who knows the company Geberit? Usually man just should know the company. Why should man know the company?
Toilets. I saw a lot of toilets.
Exactly. Because when we pee, the ultraviolet sensor for water flushing is from Geberit. That's the only time consumers see the company. It's when you see the flush. Because they said, they came actually from plastic, how do you say, water flushing system, like the box. That was a typical commodity product. And then they said, you know, the problem is not really to buy pipes and for the bathroom renovation. Is more important is a bathroom has to be renovated quickly, because if it takes 2 months to build a bathroom, you can't use it for 2 months. So it's more important to have a system you can install quickly. And what they came up with the system to the right, which is called under-the-wall system for baths. And now they have in Germany a market share of 50%. So actually it's almost impossible to get a bathroom not in this style nowadays. Because the biggest innovation they had was they do not sell to customers anymore, like house owners. They sell to the plumbers, because the plumbers are the ones who influence the buying decision of the house owners. And the value or the customer benefit is very easy: faster and more convenient renovation of baths. It's becoming quicker, and time is money, and that's like what they're selling on. And they make the plumber's life much easier. I mean, everything a plumber needs today, from a handbook, software, everything comes from Geberit. Because it's Geberit, has all components, so it's pretty easy life nowadays for the plumber. And it was funny, when I was in Egypt, all Egyptians started to smile when they saw the Geberit. And I was like, do you know Geberit? They said, like, yes, everybody who thinks middle class Egyptians love Geberit, because you can install it, and you don't need somebody who's very good at his job, which is happening in Egypt quite often, that the quality of the craftsman is not that good. But Geberit invented a system where it's almost impossible to put 2 pipes together which are not fit together. You can have the most stupidest person putting 2 pipes together, and they will be always be tight for the next 30 years. Because they melt together. And this is what the Egyptians love, because that's the first time you can have a bathroom which works for 10 or 15 years, instead of always calling somebody and say, fix this, fix this, fix this. And it seemed to be like a luxury good nowadays for Egyptians, middle class, to have a Geberit bathroom. It's amazing. And this is a very dull company. Actually, they know everything about shit. But shit is a pretty good business, because everybody is doing it every day. but most people we don't talk about. It's not a cool firm. And I think even the less cool a business model is, the more profit is in there. Because this is a basic need everybody has. So find place more basic needs and less cool things. Because in the cool things, there will be a lot of competition later coming on. If you're in this business, how many people get excited about bathroom renovation? But they do. They really get excited about this. Or there's another, this is a much smaller company. They produce carpets, like the green stuff here. Can you imagine you produce carpets, which is a commodity good in Switzerland? Do you think that's possible? Actually, usually not. But they have specialized on planes and cruising ships. It's called Landtal. At Landtal, they say, you know, we know cruising ships and textile much better than any of our customers. We know exactly how to get the vomit out of carpets much better than all of our customers, because they're so specialized in textile, in transportation means. So they know what's water, what fire, all these things they know much better than anybody else. So if you fly with any Airbus or Boeing, the seats might be, or not the seats, just the textile might be from that. Very much a niche market, but a niche can be huge on a global scale. So innovation can start anywhere on your business model. So don't always think about just products. I think you all jump too early already on a solution. You should jump earlier on a customer insight and then figure out some options about it. Because there are different ways of solving your customer insight. It can start anywhere. And now the last part is about entrepreneurial design. How do you go, or how do you get a great business model out of it? This is what I call entrepreneurial design. It's, first of all, you have to understand creating business model innovation or creating great business models for startups is a very creative process. It's not an analytical process only, it's both. And I always said, I still believe in God. There's a good reason why God gave us two brain hemispheres. And most of the people say like, wow, I'm very analytical. I'm left brain, logical, sequential, rational, analytical, objective. And then you have the other guys who are more creative. Who thinks is more a creative person? Whoops, one. Who thinks is more analytical person? Good. I think you can be both. Particularly with the canvas, you can go through all parts of the canvas and make like scenarios. Okay. What happens if I don't take this person as a partner, but as a customer? What happens then? What happens in the whole system? And then suddenly analytical thinking starts, because you have to rearrange all your buttons. It helps to see you new things, because you have a box to do the thinking about. That's the reason, or the beauty about business model canvas. And the process, you remember the card I gave you yesterday? On the back side, there's a process. Anybody anybody heard about the design thinking process? What design thinking is all about? Okay, 1, 2. Design thinking is think like a designer. And a designer does not jump directly into the solution. He thinks more about what is your problem. He wants to understand more of your problem. Just think about how much time the guys from Apple invested in this. From an engineering point of view, I mean, that's not that difficult. But why did they put it with a magnet here? Any idea why they put it with a magnet? Because people, when they run over the cord, usually they take the computer off the desk. That happens quite often. With a magnet, it doesn't happen. This is why they came up with a magnet. And of course, it's pretty quick, actually, to put it back on. And who has an iPad with a magnet? iPad 2? You got an iPad 2? You have it with you in the moment?
Oh, no, it wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. How easy is it? Get this. Yeah, how much time they invested in designing this stuff? Because they said like a lot. Because it's not technology, it's the ease of use, and then also how you roll it up so you can put it on the table. It protects, has a lot of roads. This is design thinking. It starts from observing what people do. Don't ask them. Because most people would say, yeah, it's not a big deal. I mean, it's like everybody, a plug is a plug is a plug. I mean, it works. But suddenly somebody comes out with this plug and you say, wow, that's great. So very important is customer insight, that's the first, is not about asking your customer, it's about observing your customer. Because your customers, what will the guy who bought big machines from Bosch say? I need bigger machines. And cheaper, please. Because customers can't create the future. They want to have faster coaches. Remember with the horse. Because people can't imagine a Ferrari. So please don't ask them, but if you see that people love fast or like to travel, that they like status symbols, things like this, then you come up with a Ferrari one day or later with this solution. So it's a 6-step process, and I go through the first 2 a little bit more in detail and then the rush through the others. All great innovations start with a value innovation. You need better value for your customers. And you need this customer insight first. And somebody said very simple, there's a good reason why God gave us 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 mouth only. So the first step is to observe your customer. And the good part about human beings is they don't run away if you observe them. It's not like animal observation, where you distract them from their day. You can see how people behave. You can even ask them, tap on the shoulder. Excuse me, may I ask you a question? Not with the scientifically approved questionnaire, but really be curious about what they do. Remember our discussion over the break about solar panels. Observe why, what do people do there? How can you fit it into their lifespan? For example, he had a great example about Nigeria, how innovation does not work. So the question is, can we observe something in their behavior which makes them love the new product? For example, having the street lights, not on the street, but in the shops, and people have an advantage of having the lamp for themselves. And then they have to share a little bit of their light with the rest of society. It might be a model, I don't know. But it would be interesting to look at ownership. Why do people not take ownership? Or why do people take ownership? And sometimes you get a solution, sometimes not. This is very important with customer insight. Don't think in solutions already. Think in, oh, that's interesting. Why are you doing this? And later on, you come up with solutions. We jump too early already on solutions. This is what we do actually in the first phase is who are your customers and what job do we solve? You remember, drilling a hole is not what the job is hanging up a picture. This is what we observe. How many pictures being hung up, stuff like this. And this is like where your customer insight story should start. What helps you a lot is, now we go back to analytics, but then you can be very creative again. It's called the buyer utility map. It's a horrible name for a great tool. Usually we stop our analyzer or our process, we give the product to our customer, and then we do after-sales services, and that's it. But it's much more interesting what the customer is doing with the products when you sold the product. So the buying process, is it easy, is it difficult? How is it being delivered? Is it assembly to have, can it be used immediately? How is he using it? Are there any compliments to it? Is there any service needed? How do you dispose your stuff? And actually you can change in this buying utility map all steps you can improve the value for the customer. Well, let's take a look at a very strange product. It's called the vacuum cleaner for man. Because this is exactly what Dyson is. Who has a Dyson here? Yeah, man. It's a man's product. Vacuum cleaner for man. Why did you buy a Dyson? I mean, it's the most expensive vacuum cleaner you can buy. It's typically man. Give him the gadgets. Yeah, no, it's really designed for you. Because first of all, you see technology, very simple technology arguments. What's the argument? No sucking loss, because there's a cyclone in there. It's tech talk. While Bosch moved away from tech talk to usability, Dyson did the opposite. They said, like, I mean, vacuum cleaners are all work from Miele or Electrolux. Let's go to tech talk. Give some good technology reasons men love. And that was a cyclone. You even see it. I mean, this is the plastic where you can take a look at. And this is the result. You see technology, you sell via technology, and marketing is being done not by usage, but Mr. Dyson, as an engineer, says, I'm an engineer. I have engineered the best vacuum cleaner possible because we have no sucking loss. That contradicts every marketing rule you have learned before. I mean, this guy is neither famous, nor is he particularly beautiful. Nothing. But it is authentic. It fits extremely well to the business model of Dyson. I mean, his name is his company. It's all about him. And his idea was very simple. That is the bi-utility map at the top. And on the left is kind of areas you can improve, like customer productivity, simplicity, usability, risk, image, fun. And then you can say, OK, where do I position myself? And Dyson says, I improve your user experience because there's no bag in there, no paper bag. There's no sucking loss. So he thinks the usability is higher and the productivity is higher. But also, he designs these vacuum cleaner very strangely, very strange color. You know, I find them extremely ugly, except the pink version here. It's interesting. Violet for man. I like the yellow one, but he really thinks differentiation is important, and that came out of his ideas. Clear value, customer insight, that there's a sucking loss, and therefore customers can use their vacuum cleaner less well. The value proposition is very easy. No bags, no clogged bags with less sucking model or sucking loss. And the revenue model is very simple. He takes higher margin because he positioned them above everybody else. I skipped the next case. It's also a very interesting case. It's black socks, selling socks in a subscription model, because the problem of socks is not buying them, but putting them back in pairs. How can you solve this problem? And a friend of mine came up with this very simple idea. Men don't have a problem that we need different colors actually on socks. With black socks, a man above 30 is totally happy. So he sells socks in a subscription. You have 30 of them, always 2 fit together. Fine. Life is easy. He's now a market leader in a German-speaking country for premium socks. 3.5 people work for him. His margin is ridiculous. Customers are happy, and the biggest problem he has, the socks last too long. But this is a very, I mean, he is rich, but probably not dirty rich like the guy from Facebook. But he has a pretty good life, and he has a lot of hobbies he can finance with this. Particularly, he loves writing. This all started by observation, by customer insight, because Semi Lichty, that's his name. Semi is a very lazy guy. So he figured out once he had a meeting with a customer, a Japanese customer, and they were taking off their shoes, and first of all, he had 2 different pairs of socks on, because he was just getting one brown and one black socks, and one had a hole. And that is the worst you should do for a Japanese customer. He said, like, how can I solve this problem? And he came up with a subscription model, and you never get more than 3 pairs of socks. You know why? Because the socks have to fit into your letterbox. Because if you send them out as a box, like a package, and you're not at home, it becomes a hassle. He wants to make your life easier, not more simple, more complicated. Therefore, everything is about simplicity. So if you order 10 pairs of socks, get 3 letters, period. Because they fit into your letterbox. That is customer insight translated into a great value proposition in the end. And then, after you have the customer insight, look for the current solutions. What is another solution for putting men's socks into pairs? What are other potential solutions to it? What's the most obvious solution? Why a lot of men do not have the problem to put socks into pairs? Yeah, exactly. Please, loud.
They have feeling for it.
Exactly. You see how emancipated Sammy is? Exactly. Other solution to the problem? Come on, be a little bit more, entrepreneurship is all about fun.
I think I would break this stereotype and we should wear same color socks and wear different colors.
Different colors, okay, yeah. Other idea?
Identify them with a symbol.
Exactly, this is the typical Monday, Tuesday sock. Other idea?
Magnets.
Magnets, exactly. Other idea? I have another idea. I go to a shop and buy 30 socks by myself. And every 4 years or 3 years, I throw away all of them. So you see, I wash my socks by myself.
Even if the sock is colorful, it can be black inside. If you turn around.
Yeah, could be an interesting idea. It's not easy to produce, but always an interesting option to think about. Absolutely. Or make it a fashion to have 2 different pairs of socks on. You can, but you see, we go too fast for just one solution. But then we understand first the customer insight, and then we understand the environment. How do people buy socks, et cetera, et cetera. And it's interesting. Who do you think was who was the customer who bought the subscriptions most of the time? And it was actually, it's a very good Christmas present. Can you imagine putting socks as a Christmas present? I mean, this is absolutely the killer for all relationships. But Sammy Lichty did it again. He made socks a great present. Who do you think was the person who bought the socks? Mothers, exactly. Start with mothers. Son, do it by yourself, please. And suddenly, socks become a story. Yeah? Socks is so unemotional. But suddenly, it's a story. And since it's a subscription model, first of all, he gets the money in advance. The whole investment in his firm was 4,000 euro. That's it. Because he gets the money in advance from his customers. A subscription means you get it in advance. And the other part is, since you get 3 times a year you get a letter from him, he knows his customers by name. He's the only sock company who knows his customer by name. And every time, since he's originally from PR, he loves to write stories. So every letter you get is a joke. I mean, he has 3 months time every time for writing a new letter, and it's about, for example, socks usually don't break. Most of the time, it's your feet, which are not tightly kept. So he sends like one of the small files with you. It's always ironic communication with the customer. And he loves that. And the customers love to get his letters. Can you imagine that? Socks becoming a communication means? Because Sammy Lichty just took his core competencies he has. Well, this is laziness and communication skills, and build it up to a business model. And actually, he even produces the socks by himself. He does not own the machine, but there's a machine in Italy which just produces the socks for the last 10 years. So you can even take a pair from 10 years ago, take one from today, and still is the same quality. So how do you do marketing for this kind of activity, like socks? Any idea? I mean, this is such a ridiculous idea. How do you do marketing? He ran marathons in socks and shorts. And every time he came over the goal, or he reached the goal, he took his shoes off and showed the socks with no holes. After 42 kilometers running in his business socks. He was running it, of course, in a suit. And he was very good at combining subscription model in his socks with subscription model in newspapers. Because newspapers want to sell newspapers, and they always give a gift for somebody who picks up a new subscription. So he added his socks. And he said always, I got half of the official price from the newspapers. I got 2 pages of advertising, because usually they make a huge advertising out of the gift you get for the subscription. He said, I got cash flow from this. I got advertising and everything for free. Yeah. And this is creativity. And he is a very analytical person, because he thinks about what is going on, and particularly he understands what is going on about him, around him. And this is not something you can do here in your room. If you want to understand how newspapers work, talk to them. Go out, observe them. This is what the second phase is all about. Understand what the current solutions are, understand what the potential customers, how they buy, how do they decide, and understand the market. So first insight, second understand. So far, no solution. Yeah? You work away for some weeks with no solution. And then comes the phase of ideas. But don't come up with just one idea. Come up with lots of ideas. It's ideate. Make a lot of value propositions. I mean, we just did it with the socks. We came up with boom, 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 several ideas. And this is exactly what you should do as well in the beginning. Have more ideas. That's the Canvas very good at. You can use Post-it. I still prefer paper, even though I'm in the internet for my first web page I had in '95. I still love paper. So any team who wants to have later on like a paper version of the Canvas can take one. I have 10 with me. And then you can put an idea on top of it. If it doesn't work, don't throw it away. Just put it next to it again. This is something you can't do on your computer. Because a computer, you delete it, or you have it somewhere, but you don't see it at the same time. You've got great walls here where you can put Post-it on. Have, design, make a lot of ideas how you can solve your problem, particularly like your idea. In general, it's a good idea, but it's not as concrete enough. So now it's time for making a lot of good ideas, and then decide later on what you do exactly. And then you have created ideas, and then you have to design ideas. Let's say you think, well, subscription model for socks sounds good, let's do this. So you design one subscription model. Then you say, okay, but we could also have the colorful section. You know, yellow, blue, blah, blah, blah. Then you do one business model for this. And then you have you design 3 or 4 different options. And then you decide what you do. Because then you have seen, okay, this might work better there, better there. What we do too early is we jump already into the analysis of one solution. We go very deep into the solution of something which does not work afterwards. So why not be a little bit broader at the beginning and then close it again? This is exactly what Steve Blank is doing. Then show prototypes to the customers. Look how they react. And this is exactly what Samuel Lichty did as well. He did a small marketing campaign, and he has a lot of great ideas always to get into a newspaper. For example, he sold once the lifetime sock subscription. 1,200 euro, and you get socks until the rest of your life. Do you think he wanted to sell this? No. Why did he do it?
Excuse me, I didn't hear the question.
Oh, he did a model, or he designed a product which was lifetime subscription model for your socks. You get for the rest of your life, you get socks, and it cost 1,500 euro. So how many do you think he sold?
No.
3. He was very happy not to sell more. Because he's not very sure that he's in the sock business in 10 years, because he's, he wants to do different things. The only idea he had was all about advertising, because that is a great story. All newspapers had articles about lifetime sock subscription model. And the three guys who got it then asked, like, how do you guarantee that I get my socks? He said, like, I can't guarantee it, but I can guarantee you personally you get your money back anytime you want. And I sign you a personal letter. So you have 3 customers. He knows them all by heart, and they're all friends, and they always, have a drink. But still, he is market leader in premium socks. And you would not expect that he is in socks. I mean, he would stand here like a marketeer guy and having a lot of fun, and he can talk about socks and the history of socks and everything. He knows everything of socks because he's doing it already for 10 years. He's probably Mr. Socks of everything, more than Falke socks and stuff like this. Is it a big company? No. Is it a good company for 1, 2, 3 persons? Yes, it's a great company. We don't need always the next Facebook. Yes, it would be lovely to have a Facebook here in Estonia, but it also would be lovely to have a lot of companies with 200, 300 people here in Estonia where you don't just depend on one company. We need a lot of middle-sized, 200 to 1,000. Sammy stopped his expansion in socks because he's not too much into socks. I think he's just got carried away by his success. But he could have done a little bit more of it. Now he goes into white underwear, but that's another story. So the 5th step is later decide and prototype what you do. The 5th or the 6th step is build it. And to be honest, only once you're in the market you can learn what really works or not. Think about the guys from Bosch. They had no idea that this was supposed to be a market for gifts, of people who give gifts to others. And when they figured this out, they moved the point of sale away from the home where you had the drilling machines all in a box to the cashiers where people saw it and took it with them. It's a totally different way of selling it in a shop. Having not a big box anymore, but being at the cashier point of view. Try to do this by yourself, but also very important, and this is the checklist I will use on Friday. I will be here back to get your pitches. Please, if you write your business model, be very specific what you do. Keep it simple, don't make too much. Make it self-explanatory. Focus only on the relevant parts. I don't want to see all of them, I just want to see the relevant parts. And do not reinvent everything. Try to take some parts. This is what it's all about. Be differentiated, customer-centered, specific, and don't try to be too broad at the beginning, relevant, and based on core capabilities, what you know. That's from my side. Anybody who wants to have one of the cameras can come up to me later on. And I think what comes next for you is this. I pitched, therefore I am, because now you have to develop your business model and then learn to pitch it. This is a good opportunity on the next days to work on it. Test it on Friday, and then the week afterwards, it's the hot test. Thank you very much, and I really enjoyed your ideas, and I will be even more delighted to have some really great ideas on Friday, because I think you have enough brain here, you got enough analytics here, so make something out of it. Thank you very much.